So this is the drive shaft at the Mach, and this is the old end, and it has some problems with it, and I've got to get this replaced. So one thing is this U-joint, you can see all the rust on this thing is old and ancient, so I'm going to take this all apart. All right, since I'm changing the whole end, I'm not even going to take this part of the joint off. What I'm going to do is go in here. I'm actually going to take this off, but before I do it, what I'm going to do, a trick here, is to see if it has a provision to put grease in it. And if it does, you want to add grease to it. It keeps all the roller bearings in place. This one looks like it does not have a way to add grease to it. Pull this snap ring in here, and it's tight. I'll spray some WD-40 in here. We're going to pull the snap ring in on both sides, and then we're going to take a socket that just fits in here. We're going to drive this down so we can pull the cap off, and then once we get that off both sides, this joint will slide right off. This whole thing will slide right off. But yeah, we're not going to do it here. We're going to do it right here on the shaft. So I kind of got messed up there for a second, but let's see if I can wiggle this off. There we go. Do the other side. Just like that. Okay. Now you'll notice I have strategically placed blocks of wood under here so I can drive this down and give it room. This is a 13/16 socket. Put that on here, like that. Okay, see there? Got that out. Trying to get it so I don't go any further so we can do this and wiggle it. We should be able to get that cap off of this side. A little wiggling, just like that. Roll it around here. A little tricky. Just like that. Just a little persuasion. Push that back in there. And we'll just knock this back out like this. There we go. Done. Now we're ready for our new yoke and universal joint. All right, so I got my shaft back. Before I put the new yoke in there and the universal, I want to clean this out. You see we're moving all the old dirt and debris that was in here. Get it all cleaned out so our caps slide through here and our lock pin stays in place good. So I use some brake clean on it. And just an old towel. We'll clean all this off real good. Inside and out. Make it look nice and neat. Like that. Cleans that aluminum right up. Looks good, right? And I like to run just a flat blade screwdriver in the channel here of the snap ring just to clear out any residual dirt and debris that might be in there. You want your snap ring, very important piece of this, just to make sure it seats in there properly. This doesn't take but a second. Just run it around, loose any debris, and then just a little final wipe down here of it. And that takes care of that. Definitely don't sand in here. If it's a little dirty like that, that's fine, as long as you got the big dirt out of it. You want your caps to still fit snug with the interference fit, so that little bit of dirt, or looks like dirt, is fine. It's actually very smooth. So now we're ready to install our universal joint and our yoke. This is our new yoke and universal joint. What I'm doing here is I'm going to put some grease onto the fitting. If you didn't know it, this piece here actually tightens down to make it tight against your nipple there, and it makes it go on and off a lot easier. So just to try to get that on there as tight as I can. These caps are held in place by the snap rings. These caps I got a hold with my hand, so I'm gonna pump my grease gun here a little bit. And the reason I want to do this, I want to keep the needle bearings in place when I pull these off. So let's fill this up with some grease. You'll see it starting to push on the caps. So as I push that back in, I'm gonna make sure the grease is all the way in there. Push it back out. All right, so now when I get ready to pull the cap off, the needle bearings, I have plenty of grease to keep them inside. And this is pushing grease all the way around all the bearing. Now, it's supposed to have grease in it already, but I just like pushing new grease all the way through it just to make sure. And then when I pull the cap off, the bearing will be packed with grease. All right, now I went ahead and pulled the caps off. And what I'm doing now, I just wiped off the excess grease here. So I'm gonna fit the universal in here like this. You kind of angle it in like this. Then you center it, take your cap, kind of center it in here a little bit. Take the other side, do the same thing. Try to get it where it's somewhat centered. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to drive this in a little bit while we're holding it, just to get it down some. So don't want to go down much more than that. So I'm gonna hold this on my flat piece here, hold up against the universal, just keep the roller bearings in place. Roller bearings in place there. Turn this over like so. You see we kind of pulled some grease out by doing that, which is fine. Gonna drop that in here. Make sure it's all in our roller bearings like that. Feed that down in here. Center it on our piece, and we can tap it in. So you can move it back and forth, nice and easy. There we go. Now that's as flat as we can get it without putting our socket on it, which you can see it's definitely in there smooth. Take our pin, drop that in. Just like that. Turn it this over. Put this in from this side. Same procedure. Pretty close. Yep. Time for good measure. Okay, that's pretty snazzy. To show you, here's the snap ring. It pushes inside the housing. See how it goes in the groove all the way around? And it goes down in the groove all the way around. So we're good to go. Okay. So we have our new slip yoke. So we have our new universal joint and it's greased. We have our new yoke and it's ready. So ready to put it in the car. Okay, those are all tight. See in here, everything is good. Where I had it out, we had just a little drip right here at the back of the transmission. I'll just wipe that off real quick. And now we should be good to go. And you'll see the new slip yoke. Well, it looks more traditional than the old Cobra one did. And that's all it is to it. So now we have our drive shaft back in place, which basically this is just a stock Cobra drive shaft that I got with the stock Cobra transmission that's in the car now. This is a Stifler's cross member that fits in the car. It has a McLeod RXT. You can see it, twin disc clutch, but it is a 10 spline, which kind of sucks. It's my magnet. And other than that, I had to upgrade the yoke side because I do have the bigger end on my rear end, because this is the bigger yoke side for a Cobra, for IRS. And what we found is when you're gonna go bigger, instead of the GT size, which is a little bit smaller, we go ahead and put the bigger yoke end on it for the rear end. So when I built this rear end years ago, I went ahead and did that. So all that matches. So a stock Cobra drive shaft bolts right up in the car, no problem. Just wanna show you this is what it looks like. Drive shaft's back in, all fixed up, ready to go. All right, so to finish off the video, let me get the car in the background so you get a little more how you doing, you know what I'm saying? So to finish off the video, I had a vibration in the car, couldn't really figure out what was going on. Ended up being a couple things. One, the drive shaft had a lot of slop in it. Part of that turned out to be the yoke was damaged. The one I got, somebody had actually cut on the end of the yoke, and why, I don't know. Maybe it was too long for the application, but I had to get a new yoke for it. At the same time, the universal joint needed to be replaced, so did all that, had the drive shaft balanced, and once all that was done, the drive shaft is spinning straight now the way it's supposed to be. It's nice and smooth. Also found that the tailpipes that go over the rear end, they're actually, the upper part of the pipe is actually touching the rear end. So they're 3-inch pipes, and I've changed the mufflers on it. And unfortunately, I guess over time, it's just settled a little bit and it's starting to touch. Now, it's enough where it's just rubbing enough, but it's rubbing where it's made an indentation into the rear end housing. So I tried to adjust it. There's really no adjustment on it. Some way to fix it is go back to the muffler shop, see if we can actually cut the pipes and move the whole exhaust system forward like a 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch and give me the room that I need, and that should take care of the rest of the vibration. So I had a vibration in the car, couldn't figure out what it was. Part of it was the drive shaft, the other part is the exhaust system. So part of that's been fixed. Now the drive shaft's done. Just a little disappointed in the way the drive shaft repair was handled. I dropped it off. They had it for like 2 weeks. I went to pick it up. They had put the wrong yoke on it. They had put like a 30 spline yoke on it. And while it looked cool, it was no way it's gonna fit. This is a 27 spline yoke. Then when I went back, I just basically told them, just give me the yoke and I'll put it on myself. So long story short, that took another 2 weeks to get it. And just very disappointed. The whole process, it was just disappointing. I even told them, did you check it, see if it was straight? They said we balanced it. And anyway, do you trust them at this point? So anyway, all that's been resolved. The drive shaft now fixed. But you talk about $350. It's pretty damn expensive. So end of the day, I probably could have spent about $100, $125 myself, got my own slip yoke and a new universal joint, and taking care of all this myself. You know, was the shaft really that far out, or was it between the universal and the slip yoke? At this point, who knows? But I could have saved over $200 some and 4 different trips up there. But the car is running great. Just had it inspected, yearly inspection on it, and just sorting out the little details. But the car is phenomenal. I mean, it runs fantastic, handles good, runs good, looks good. The car is just an ultimate street car. I mean, it makes 800 horsepower. I think it was like 720 or something pounds of torque. That little VMP 2.3, even though it's an older gen supercharger, it does fantastic. Pull lead for 26 pounds of boost, has a 6-pound lower, and this little, what is it? I think it's like a 2.6 or 2.7 upper. It's called a 69 millimeter grip tech pulley on it now, but it runs phenomenal. Built engine, billet rods, 10-to-1 compression, E85. It's a phenomenal car. L&M cams, ported heads, you know, the whole kit and caboodle, all the goodies that you can do to this car. And it's a great street car. You know, anybody wants to argue with you, a supercharged 800 horsepower at the wheels car at least 20% driveline loss. You're talking 950 to 975 at the flywheel, give or take a little bit there. That is a phenomenal street car, and a stick shift. So I mean, that's like the ultimate street car. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Just some, you know, behind the scenes, why the car, why you saw it on my failed videos with drive shaft bent, and then you haven't seen me really drive it much. But it's fixed now. I just wanted to give you some all around what I had to do, how I had to fix it. Some of the video was cut and spliced and things happened, and I got it fixed, and I came back to edit the video and show you the kind of the after and before, and you know, try to have some consistency in the video. So it looked like it was all done at the same time, but this video's been shot over multiple weeks. So hope this helps you. If you have any vibrations or something, check it out in your car. It could be the universal joint, could be the drive shaft itself, could be the exhaust rubbing on the rear end, causing a whole weird vibration, harmonic type of vibration in the car. I even had an axle bearing go out in this car I had to fix. Just like I had an axle bearing in the black TTSaleen over here, had to fix as well. So crazy little stuff like that can happen. Other than that, just normal maintenance, wear and tear. And it's getting ready to be wintertime here. It's October, and it's time to start winterizing your car. Make sure if you have E85, just fill the tank completely full. It keeps a lot of moisture from getting in there. If you have an overflow can, which I do, I don't have a PCV system per se anymore. I have these vents that go down, they're lines that go down to a tank. That tank breathes and it gets all the moisture content. Just make sure you drain that after you drive it, get all the water out of it. That keeps all the moisture out of your system. And if it's gonna sit for a while, go ahead and do a fresh oil change on it. I literally just changed the oil in the car. I've only driven it like 2 or 3 times now, so we're good to go there. I just filled up V85. So I'm gonna get it wiped down, put it back over here and cover it up, and this car is good to go and sit for a while. Think about a 03 or 4 Cobra and leaving this Mach 1 with the Cobra conversion. If you leave the battery hooked up, it will have a slow parasitic draw on the battery. So I go in here, I actually unhook the battery terminal like this. And that way I don't have to worry about it killing my battery. So just something to keep in mind if your car is going to be sitting up for a while, getting ready to winterize it. But hope that was helpful to you. We'll talk to you soon. Hope you enjoyed the content. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you're not already, and if you are, thanks for your support.